Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Moose Minute Project on a beautiful Monday morning. Nice little wispy clouds in the air today. Going to be a high of 91, 92 somewhere in there. After a blistering last couple days of 94 to 96. Heavy winds, boy. Felt like you were in a convection oven as hot as the winds were today, or the last couple days. But we survived it all. I went to the grave yesterday of my mom and replaced some flowers, and then went with Roxanne. And we went up and saw her mom and her late husband and brother and her dad and stepmom. So we took care of all those graves yesterday too, just with all this hot weather. Had to water all the flowers, make sure everything was good. And replaced some flowers at my mom's. And saw two baby twin deer there that were just absolutely cute. They were over by my mom's area there in the cemetery in Richland Center. And so interesting how it all worked out. So, heard a little bit of interesting thing this morning, and then I'll get to my title. But this morning is the difference between cemetery and a graveyard. I never knew this. A cemetery is where my mom is at. She is in a cemetery because it's in a place off by itself. Roxanne's family, all of her family, are between two churches, so we have quite a ground to carry, but they are in graveyards because they are connected to a church. I never knew that. If I did know it, I forgot about it. But a cemetery is all by itself, and a graveyard is connected to the church property. Interesting scenario. Anyway, so today it's going to be a high of 91. Make sure you are staying hydrated. Make sure if you're going to do anything, do it early. Oh, man, I'm tired. Did a lot of work yesterday in a couple days. Yesterday, it just zapped me, too. But, titled, I'm not going to make any friends today. And I probably not. I am curious, as we all sit here in our recliners or in our chairs, or unfortunately our homeless situation is not any different. And we're making cuts left and right because of abuse, fraud, and whatever else that we're, carelessness, I guess. We have now dropped bunker buster and torpedo rockets and tomahawk missiles and bunker busting bombs and whatever else into Iran, because Iran's a bully. Seems like to me, I don't know. The right always says we shouldn't be getting, when it's the left, what are we doing wasting money getting involved in other people's problems and other people's business and spending money doing that? And yet, we go and do this. Which now brings me to a meeting that is happening today with Iran and Russia. Iran went to meet with Vladimir Putin today. Does anybody get worried about that meeting, or do you just say, nah, the United States is so big it doesn't matter? I believe there's a nice state that's pristine and beautiful just across a little body of water from Russia. But I wonder if they get nervous when we do things like this, to where they could get probably taken off a map by Russia, called Alaska. Or what it's going to do. See, I'm not understanding why we're doing all this when I'm still paying over $3 or right around $3 a gallon for gas, which I was told 100 and some plus days ago that was going to go down. I haven't seen grocery prices plummet. Egg prices, I'm not sure where they were getting those 400% discount eggs where people were paying you to take the eggs. Because if there's a $400 or 400% discount, you are getting paid to take those. So I'm not sure where that is. I'm not sure why that we're trying to alleviate the bully situation by being what we are. And then we still haven't got the whole Russia problem, with Zelensky and Putin and them all taken care of. I'm really confused. I'm confused. And then we've got Mr. Hegseth changing names of military bases. Here's an interesting concept. Let's say your family has a last name on a military base. Quite an honor, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that if there was a Gerber military base, I'd be honored if it was one of my family members. I would be deeply proud of who they are. But then it gets changed to some other name, to a Confederate name, whatever it may be. And I'm not old enough to know about if my family was involved or any family members were involved with the Confederate Yankee whole problem. I'm not sure. But now the name gets changed. And you hear about it from the media. Media calls you and says, hey, what do you think about this? Curious how your response would be to that. Is it the same as when you say it and you have no involvement? Would it be the same as when you hear it and you go, well, about damn time we do something like that? So if your family was on that, would you say, oh, it's about damn time we did that? Or would you be pissed off? And then Mr. Hegseth says, well, somebody from the military called them. There were 4 families, I think. I'm pretty sure Mr. Hegseth could have called those 4 families personally. I'm pretty sure he'd have found time to call them and say, hey, by the way, here's why we're doing this. So when you hear this, I'm apologizing now ahead of time, but here's why we decided to make those changes. No, didn't do that. The media heard that, so then the senators get to hear it from their constituents, which I'm sure goes well. And maybe it's because it's Democratic mostly, or whatever it may be. That's the other thing that's interesting. We bombed Iran, and I don't think any of the Republicans told anybody on the committees that were Democrat what was going on. And I don't know how it all works, but maybe it's because Republicans don't have to at this time, like with the president in power, you don't have to run it by anybody. You just bomb somebody and then let everybody else deal with the fallout from pissed off constituents calling you and saying what the hell's going on, or, I don't know. It seems like we're falling way apart. Worse than probably ever. But I'm just not digging it. I'm not excited about any of it. And it has caused rifts between my family members and anybody else. And everybody else is like, well, don't let politics take over your family or ruin your family. Well, here's the problem. Religion and politics don't get discussed in sales or any of that stuff. You don't do that when you're talking with a customer. No matter how somebody feels, we don't talk about that. However, in friend circles and family circles, it gets talked about. It got talked about this weekend at a birthday party. I kind of shut my mouth because, A, I don't want to get involved too much about it because I'm not very good at hitting my pause button. I'm not very good at being quiet about it. But let's face it. If you are a strong, hard right guy, or lady, whatever you are, if you're on the right side and you are determined and you are ecstatic about how things are going right now, no matter what, because I have found one thing in the right, well, and actually left too. So that's why I kind of tend to follow along with the Bernie Sanders of America. because I'm not right or left. I want the best for everyone. I want the best, and it probably doesn't work that way in government. I don't know. If I'm going to become part of government, I got to start doing fundraising now so I can run in 20 years. That'll put me at 71. That seems about the right age to run for politics anymore these days with everybody that's in charge. Because the younger ones don't get any respect from the elders that are there because they've been there for 28 billion years. A few of them, I think, rode in with the dinosaurs when they probably did the first parade. But anyway, if it affects your family, I'm sorry, because it does affect family members just because the truth comes out. And I think, quite honestly, the one thing I have noticed is the far right people, and I'm talking far right, not just a little bit right. I'm talking far right. They are very rude. They are very judgmental, and they are very stuck that, yes, they are the best, and they are. So they're big bullies. The problem with the left, I think, is they're way compassionate. They want things equal. See, that word doesn't work well in America anymore. You can't be equal. You can't be caring and compassionate about people in general. Otherwise, you're stupid and dumb and whatever else. I don't know. The bombing and stuff has me a little bit on edge right now, and I live in Wisconsin, so, I mean, for a torpedo or bomb or something to get near us, and maybe, hopefully, southwest Wisconsin's off the radar. You know, that's what I'm wondering about. When is the next catastrophic event going to take place, such as September 11th, when other nations get sick and tired of us sticking our nose in other nations' business? And then we hear that they're not, we were not part of helping Israel or anything else, and then now there are reports that we backed them with military stuff, and I don't know. I'm not a religious guy either as far as knowing all of that. I do know what the Bible talks about as far as catastrophic events and weather changes and the false prophet and things. A lot of that's starting to become pretty clear to me too. It's kind of scary, actually. But I'm at 51 years old. I'm also at a point that you either like me or you don't. We can get along, we can be friends. I don't have a lot of people calling me and saying, hey, Chris, let's go hang out, let's go do this. But then I don't do that either. If you drive by my house, I love my yard. I love being on a lawnmower. I put on my headset, listen to WRCO, and then I don't have to deal with people. It's a lot nicer that way. I think that's probably the nice thing about being out of retail sales, is I don't have to deal with people much. Because people drive me crazy. Because there's fake people, there's real people, there's a very small circle of people that I absolutely would do anything for. And if you're not genuine, I don't want to be around you anyway. And if you just say things to make people like you or be around you, or that's how you have to be to feel good about yourself, nah, not into that either. So I think I've lost some friends doing this little show too, which is fine because I'm pretty raw on this show as far as how I feel and my personal beliefs. Bill Belichick with a 24-year-old girl, that to me is wrong. I don't care what anybody says. Art Davis with his 20-some-year-old or whatever girlfriend. Yeah, no. When there's 26, no. When there's 40 years difference or 50 years difference between who you are and, some of that makes it to where if something would happen, it's just wrong. I don't care how people look at it. that age gaps is a problem. And then to say, oh, she doesn't know anything about the money. I believe there was a relationship a long time ago where people freaked when that multimillionaire married a very famous adult actress, stripper, whatever she may be. And they're like, oh, she's just a gold digger. Well, Anna Nicole Smith went through the ringer with the general public because of that. And yet, it happens all the time now. And did I just see, Dick Van Dyke, I think, is going to have another child, and he's in the 70s. What's wrong with people? What's wrong with this whole scenario? That's all I have today on my brain. It gets overloaded a lot. But I am going to start a new little clip. Healing with humor. Or through humor. So, I'm just going to open this first. And it's a gift that my wife received, actually. And I was reading through this. So, anatomy of a laugh, and we'll get to some of the jokes and stuff too, but your whole body gets a kick out of a good chuckle. Here's what happens when you laugh, according to research. Your heart and lungs are stimulated, your heart beats faster, and your blood pressure rises temporarily. You breathe deeper and oxygenate more blood. Your body releases endorphins, your own natural painkillers, and you produce more immune cells. You burn 78 times as many calories as you would in a resting state, and your diaphragm, facial muscles, and internal organs all get bounced around in a message sometimes called internal jogging. After you've laughed, your muscles and arteries relax. That's great for easing pain. Also, your blood pressure lowers and your pulse drops below normal. Some researchers think all this aids in digestion. A merry heart doth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. The New English Bible translation of that verse says that a merry heart makes a cheerful countenance, but low spirits sap a man's strength. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Read a little bit of joke every day too now on the Moose Minute Project. And again, if you're upset with me and you're like, well, I'm not going to watch, whatever, that's okay. I'm not, again, doing this. I think the most I've seen is, 100 some views or whatever it may be. I've got 5 subscribers in YouTube, which that's okay. It's just me here talking. So if you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Just some points to think about. Have a great day. Stay cool today. And we will talk tomorrow morning with another edition of the Moose Minute Project. And as always, take time to bless somebody's day today.